Hi, I am Juan Verde and this is Crash Course World History, and today we are going to review all the Mexican history from the start of the independence in 1810 to the start of the revolution in 1910. So, back in the 1800s, after the Spanish had colonized for centuries Latin America, a fight for independence began in New Spain, in what is today called Mexico. In 1810, Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, a Creole priest, encouraged people to fight for freedom with El Grito de Dolores, where during the dawn, he rang the church bell and shouted the iconic Viva Mexico and Muerte a los Gachupines. So, after a year of fighting in 1811, Hidalgo was caught and killed, and it wasn't until 1813 when Jose Maria Morelos, now the leader of the independence, issued two important documents. The first one, Sentimientos de la Nación, which proclaimed why Mexico could be an independent country, and the second one, the Declaration of Independence, which has a very self-explanatory name. In 1814, the Constitution of Apatzingán was issued. It is stating the sovereignty of the people and the necessity of a representative government. In 1815, Morelos was executed, and there wasn't any organized form of movement until Vicente Guerrero became the leader of the insurgents in 1819. In 1820, Agustín de Iturbide, leader of the Criollan troops, joined Guerrero in the Abrazo del Catempan and formulated the Plan de Iguala, which united the two armies. In 1821, Mexico had almost been rid of Spanish, and the joint armies entered the capital. The Mexicans then declared their independence and had Iturbide crowned as emperor. Then, in 1823, Santana, an opposer of the empire, wrote the Plan de Casamata, which excelled Iturbide and succeeded. In 1824, Iturbide, obviously being a fool, returned to Mexico and was executed. The same year, the first president of Mexico, Guadalupe Victoria, was elected. For 6 years, there was relative stability until the Spanish invaded again in 1830. Santa Anna fought against the invasion, and for his leadership in the event, he was elected president, where he stayed for 11 terms. During his presidency, there was the Revolt of Texas of 1855, which ended in Texas becoming independent. In 1838, the famous Pasture War began when the French invaded Mexico for compensation of the private property lost in the independence. In 1845, Santa Anna was exiled to Cuba, and the Mexican-American War began, because of the annexation of Texas, which Mexico didn't recognize as independent yet, to the USA. Due to the great amount of casualties, Santa Anna was brought back to aid in the war. The Americans kidnapped Santa Anna and forced him to sell the territory of California and accept the annexation of Texas. The treaty which accepted this was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Let's jump to 1854, when El Plan de Ayutla was written. This plan was created to get rid of Santa Anna and his dictatorship, causing him to be exiled again in 1855. Then a constitution was created in 1857, which redundantly is called the Constitution of 1857. It is stated that the president should only be in power for 1 term. And it also created reforms that caused the church and the military to lose some of their power. These liberalist reforms caused the War of Reforma to begin. It was a war of 3 years between liberalists and conservatives, in which the liberalists won and maintained their liberalist laws. In 1861, liberalist Benito Juárez became president and was the leader of the Mexicans during the Second French invasion in 1862. During the invasion, the French were able to take control of the Mexican government and implemented Maximiliano de Habsburgo as the emperor. In 1867, after a lot of conflict, the French decided to leave Mexico and Maximiliano was executed. In 1876, Porfirio Díaz entered the presidency and began an era that we now call the Porfiriato. Now it's time for the open letter. An open letter to Porfirio Díaz. Even though many people see you as a bad person, and even though you have a little of a tyrannist feel to your government, I actually believe you were good. Yes, the poor were poorer. Living conditions were terrible. People didn't have freedom of speech, and you lied and were a little bit corrupt. But you modernized Mexico and made it into what it is today. Best wishes, Juan Verde. So, Porfirio Diaz ruled for 35 years. After that, people were beginning to want their rights and their freedoms back, as we all do. So, in 1910, the famous Mexican Revolution began. So, to end this journey through Mexican history, we have to discuss the conditions of democracy at the end of the 19th century. There was no democracy. It was a dictatorship ruled by Diaz. There was no freedom of speech nor trade. And the reasons for this to happen were the conservative laws, the large amount of conservative laws that there was at the time, causing all the power to be centered in one place. The great political instability. There had been lots of presidents, lots of coup d'etats, lots of wars, which caused a lot of instability. And the conformity of the people to a corrupt government. People for 35 years did mostly nothing about the government of Porfirio Diaz. Much of this history we can see today. The instability, the corruptions, these are factors that, as my favorite teacher in the world always says, they will repeat themselves through history if we don't stop them. Thanks for watching. So, the writers of this show were Jimena Vilcis and me, Rafael Ferrer. The camera woman and art director was Renata Zaragoza, and the director of investigation, as he wanted to be called, was Emilio Gatica. Thanks for watching.